How long gone? My shit was fucked up. Chris Black, still touching grass down here in the swamp. Them jeans, what's good, bro?
Them jeans, what's good, bro? I'm just writing down a note for our guest today. Carolyn was like, "Are you gonna ask him about getting up?"
I saw something right before we got on that I wanted to talk to you about. I don't know if you've seen this series that Rolling Stone is doing, the Musicians on Musicians thing. It's their, I think we talked about it a little bit. It's like their version of Actors on Actors.
Mm-hmm. I saw it, but I definitely did not click through.
Dude. Oh, I haven't watched any of them. I don't care. But there's apparently there's one with friend of the program Lucy Dacus and Janelle Monáe. And Janelle Monáe,
1 out of 2 ain't bad.
So Janelle Monáe says that she time traveled and saw David Bowie. She's time traveled many times, and she's telling Lucy this, and Lucy has to keep a straight face because Janelle Monáe is dead fucking serious. And Lucy does a great job of keeping a straight face, and I was impressed because I would have been like, bitch, you are tripping.
Yeah, but that's where I want the real Lucy to come through and say, excuse me, because, I mean, but what does that exactly mean? So you're saying she teleported, went back into time.
Hold on. I'll read it to you verbatim. I think when I saw David Bowie, I traveled back into the 1970s and I saw him do Ziggy Stardust and the Spiders from Mars, and it was incredible. I was backstage and I was like, this is what I want to do. And so I jetted back to, the 2000s, and I was like, I can have the musical, make the music, create the lyrics, and create community around transformation and being queer, and not even just in sexuality, but just in how we see the world. So it's a bigger...
God, I mean, it would take somebody as corny as Janelle Monáe to be like, I went back, because like I've talked to people in my life who did the right, correct sequence of drugs to really believe that they went back to the 70s to go kick it backstage.
Yeah, I really did do
Ziggy
this.
Stardust and the Spiders from Mars. That plausible, but then as soon as she starts saying like, building community around, what...
Bro, let me tell you something right now. Queer spaces didn't exist in the 70s, bro. David Bowie said the queer space was wherever I am if a guy's sucking my dick. That's what David Bowie said.
Even David Bowie himself said queer spaces are gay.
I just saw this, and it's like a screenshot, like PDF graphic, and it's just so funny. And like, what are you going to do? You have to let her get away with it. What do you do if you're Lucy? Be like, yo, you're crazy, bitch. And then the whole thing breaks down and you have to leave. Like, you have no option to be like, yeah, okay, sure. Tell me more.
Yeah. I would hit her with the Jennifer Lawrence on Hot Ones. What do you mean? Type of reaction.
What do you mean? What do you mean? What do you mean?
Truly, what do you mean? Like, are you just being a crazy person, or did this really happen? Like whenever somebody says they have, a close encounter with the third kind or an alien abduction story, or, I actually died and saw God and came back to life. Like, I want to hear more about that story, and every detail that further is added to it makes the story less believable, less plausible, and less good. You're just like, okay.
I just like that Janelle Monáe is so detached from reality that she thinks she can say that shit and everybody's got to keep a straight face. But I guess she makes that much money, so there's a lot of people around her that are just like, yeah, whatever you say, babe.
She does make a lot of money, but, I don't know anyone who's listening to that music. No offense to all the Monacists out there.
She's sort of the original Her, where it's like, this is so popular and I see the numbers and they're staggering, but I've never heard anybody say I listen to this or I like this.
I think her have been around for about the same amount of time. Now, of course, Janelle Monáe is kind of going for
Janelle Monáe. I met
female
Janelle Monáe,
Childish Gambino thing with the titties out.
I met Janelle Monáe as an indie artist in Atlanta in like 2003.
Damn.
I feel like Her was in middle school. I feel like Her was in middle school.
Okay.
Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Her is older, but I mean, we don't need to spend more time talking about these two bad musicians, but I just thought that story, like, that's taking a dream story to the worst possible level.
Yeah, I'm looking at Janelle Monáe 2003. Ooh, that hair was poofing and puffing.
But people really got excited when Janelle Monáe let the titties out a couple years ago. when she did like that music video that was like topless.
My version, my little wing of creepy black guy Twitter was loving it.
Yeah, you talking about the Joe Budden podcast?
Me and the fellas. They're part of the subsect. They're not, not. You posted a video. Audrey Hobart performed "Sue Me" on Tonight Show, starring Jimmy Fallon, and you gave this a positive.
Dude, I think she's
affirmation here, a positive reaction, and this feels very. All of those words feel antithetical to Chris Black.
She's everything we need. She writes the songs herself, and they're better than all the other girls. And there's no Jack Antonoff in sight. That song, there's 5 songs on her record that are better than any Addison Rae song, any Sabrina Carpenter song, any Gracie Abrams song. Like, it's kind of crazy. It's kind of crazy how much better it is. And she's doing it herself. But I also understand that the quirked up side of it could turn people off. I recognize that. And I, of course, don't expect you or Tom Krell, who listens to like chamber music, to like that. I'm fine with that. I'm fine with making
the chamber, r/chamber heads, we're not feeling a-hobe as much.
That's okay.
But I mean, but you're okay with the like, oopsie daisy, I'm so adorkable. Oh my God, there's the camera on. Where do I stand here? Is this me? I'm just a random chica. I don't know nothing. Like, you are okay with that shtick? It doesn't seem insufferable to you?
Unfortunately, it would seem insufferable, except I believe that it's authentic. I think she's really a freak. Whereas I think the rest of these, like Addison Rae has no songs, but she's lobotomized and hot, and it's cool. And sometimes that's all you need. That's fine. That's fine too. You know what I mean? There's different strokes for different folks, and they can all scratch the same itch, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Yes.
You know what I mean? I believe it to be real.
I can like Addison Rae, and you could like Audrey Hobart, and it all is okay.
But I like Addison Rae, but no one likes her music. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's not what it's about. Really.
I would disagree with you on that.
You think people are at an Addison Rae show because they like the music? I think they're at the Addison Rae show because it's experience and they think it's cool.
I think
but I'm saying that's fine.
If she didn't have any music that people like, nobody would go to the show just to watch the theatrical dance numbers.
I think the music is fine.
Just the same way that nobody's going to go to an Audrey Hobart show if they don't actually like the music. They're not going to go see her.
I think it's a different
act like.
I think it's a different
whatever
thing.
She's doing, iCarly on stage.
I think it's a different thing. I think that Addison Rae is like a cultural thing that people want to be a part of, like a la Brat, And I think that is as powerful as music these days because people want to be a part of whatever community they can be a part of. And I think I think some things are more about the music than others, I guess, is all I'm saying.
I would say Audrey Hobart has an equal...
Yeah.
Not as big, but she has her own...
Totally.
...sense of community and her own style of person that she's being marketed to.
Totally. I feel like I've seen more of a wide range, obviously on a much smaller scale.
We'll call it a less attractive demo than...
yeah, well, it's less like...
All are welcome.
19-year-old gay guys. It's more 30-year-old gay guys. I think is the difference.
Well, you think guys listen to Audrey Hobart? I feel like it's 90%, 94% exclusively female marketing girlies.
I'm telling you, that shit is like... It's
like Taylor Swift.
I get your aversion to it. I totally do. But I can't believe how good it is. It's so much better than everything else that's meant to be like that. And it also fascinates me because she's the one who wrote the Gracie Abrams hits, and Gracie Abrams, in my mind, has no songs. Mm-hmm. So, you know what I mean? It's like confusing to me a little bit.
You are not making. You're sort of making my point a little bit by doing that, but it all goes back to what is a hit.
No, totally. I mean, but I think that there's a certain level of like thing that gets so big that people don't even know why they like it. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I think that
for sure.
Like, I think some of this pop stuff gets to this point where it's like you could ask somebody about the music and they would like stumble over their words, but they could talk about the outfits or the tweets or the Instagram. Yeah. You know what I mean? And I think that's just part of our modern society.
Many of our listeners might feel the same way about the music of like Blackpink, for example. Just like, I'm going to the Blackpink show tonight. What's your favorite song? They make music?
Yeah,
I don't know. It's just
I just like it.
They hand me a thing that lights up.
Yeah, but I think that's where we're at. I think it's this very strange time where that's like not the idea when we were younger that if you wore a shirt of a band that you didn't actually know or like, you would get clowned for that. That's completely out the window. Like that kind of behavior is totally out the window.
Not for me. I see Kylie Jenner wearing a suffocation long sleeve. Boom.
Where it's on site.
Fuck you, bitch.
King Kylie could get it any time if she's wearing the wrong suffocation long sleeve.
King Kylie wearing the I Hate God hat. Oh, fuck no.
Oh.
Name 5 albums, bitch.
Dude, I saw there's a book coming out about like Florida, like basically like underground music, and the Addison who does Despair Books was like, yeah, I worked on this, and posted like an ASUC chapter. And I was like, man,
Say what now?
this is crazy shit. This is crazy shit. There's a book about Florida coming out, and there's multiple spreads about ASUC in this book. You know,
I don't know if we're going to make the McNally Jackson top 10 with this one. A little more of a niche audience.
I pre-ordered my copy, of course, but yes, I know
For the scene.
It's on site for Kylie. It's on site for Travis when he wears his Avail shirt. You already know what time it is. We have a guest today. Our guest today, Shepard Fairey. You know his art. He's been beasting for, I mean, at this point, 30 years.
Known for the Obey Giant. Andre the Giant got a posse.
He's tangled with the long arm of the law over the Obama poster that he made. He still does these insane murals that take like days and several pieces of construction equipment to get up there.
And he just has a he has a collab show in London right now with Damien Hirst and Space Invader. We got
I was looking at that earlier, and I was like, oh, all three of these motherfuckers touched all this shit. It's not just the three. It's not a group show. It's like, no, we all did this together, which is kind of a crazy thing to do.
It was a polycule art show. We'll get into it with Shepard. All right, let's give him a call. You're sounding good. How are you doing, buddy?
Busy. You were just talking about it. I just got back from London and Berlin, and I have a lot of other projects moving along. So never a chance to catch my breath. But hey, in a world that's quite fickle, to still have demand for my creativity this many years in.
Sure, you're like, I'll take it. I don't give a fuck.
Exactly.
I'll sleep when I'm dead. Type beat. I get it.
Okay, so we're back in Echo Park at the studio.
Yeah. I'm on Sunset by Dodger Stadium. You know the spot.
Oh, I know the spot. Dodgers going to the World Series. That's going to fuck your next 2 weeks up, isn't it? Just in terms of parking and getting in and out of your lot.
Yeah, that might be true, but I will sustain the wrath of many Dodgers fans if I complain about it. I'm like, I'll take one for the team. No problem.
Literally,
you can't say shit. You can't say shit.
That really does cause problems over there, though. It's an interesting. But I mean, how many? There's 7 games in the World Series. They play half at home. We're looking at 3 to 4 if it goes all the way. It's not that bad.
Yeah.
Well, I guess speaking of that in that neighborhood, you've been in that studio space for what, 20 years?
Since 2008, beginning of 2008. Okay. So
15, 20 years. How have you experienced the neighborhood changing from when you first got there to now, just in terms of your level of gentrification?
Well, it is gentrifying, but I think COVID and the 2008 financial meltdown, it all sort of slowed that. And so the cost of living everywhere in LA is just gone crazy. So I feel bad for everybody who doesn't have the ability to already be in the housing market and have have a mortgage to pay instead of rent. But we own our building, so we're lucky that way. But yeah, I mean, I still think there's a good mix of kinds of people in this neighborhood. But I think if you're young and trying to get your start, it's harder than ever. I know a lot of people that they would have lived here 10 years ago, but now they're in Boyle Heights or even further out because rent's so expensive. And that's a bummer. I worry about that for LA, because one of the things I loved about LA when I moved here 25 years ago was that relative to a place like San Francisco or New York, it had the same kind of cultural opportunities, but the cost of living was a lot more affordable. I could never have had all the studio space for my art in those places, but I could in LA.
Yeah, that is kind of crazy to think about, because no one would say that today.
Yeah, no, they wouldn't. And I'm not an economist, so I don't really.
Wait, hold on. Who are we talking to? You're not. You're telling us you're not an economist. Got it. Okay. Go ahead.
But I think that maybe the ICE raids or something else will just have all those people thinking they're gonna get on a soap opera or become an influencer, have them not show up because it's too expensive, and things will mellow out. I don't know.
You're right. There's not a lot of content creators coming from Iowa to Boyle Heights to kick their career off. That's a good point. The mom bloggers aren't relocating to Boyle Heights to get it started.
Yeah. And with the popularity of Yellowstone, it's better for your MAGA demographic to be in Iowa anyway.
Yeah. Take a second look at Wyoming, guys.
I mean, those places are, because I guess I pretty recently went to Jackson Hole for the first time, and I was like, oh, I get what this is, but I felt like places like that sort of feel, and maybe this is because I've watched them on TV, but they just feel like a sort of like a backlot. They don't feel real, and it feels like a Disney World type situation. And it didn't sit right with me the way I thought it would.
Yeah, they're like cowboy hats and cowboy boots as kind of a costume of authenticity. It's really depressing to me.
All right, this is a good question for you, Shepard. You've made some bread in your time. Why do rich guys become cowboys? Why do they want to become cowboys once they make money? What do you think the reason is?
I know what the reason is. It's because they want to project this American fantasy of I pulled myself up by my bootstraps. I don't need anyone. Me and my 6-gun laid claim to this land. And
sure.
And it's not that you were born with a silver spoon and your hedge fund thing worked out. And it's not that. It's that you broke them horses to your will, and now you rule things.
You got it out the J.P. Morgan mud, as they say.
Yeah. I'm from Charleston, South Carolina. That person's not just in Wyoming.
They're everywhere.
Yeah. Down there, they're the whole thing is, yes, I'm a banker all week long, but on the weekend I drink some rock and rye and bring home the limit of greenheads, I could live off this land. I'm tough.
I could live off this land. It's like, bitch, you have a G-Wagon. You could not live off the land.
Yeah. I'm so glad that I discovered skateboarding and punk rock. I might have ended up one of those guys.
I'm from Atlanta, and I have a similar. Charleston's a little more that, I think, and always has been, because it's just smaller.
Yeah,
but I know what you mean. A few wrong turns, and that's you.
Yeah.
You be wearing a Vineyard Vines shirt right now.
Yeah. We call it the Blue Blazer and Khakis Mafia.
Yeah, no, that's real. That's very real.
Yeah, it is, and my parents are still there.
When you go back there to Charleston, are you a little bit of a local celeb, or are you able to kind of go under the radar because you are not wearing Vineyard Vines and things like that?
To be fair to Charleston, it's not one dimensional. It's not a monolith. I have a lot of friends I skateboarded with in high school that still live there. I'm still friends with the woman I used to cut school with a lot now runs 2 Montessori schools. I don't know how good an idea that was. No, she's actually amazing. But
sounds like a new Hulu show.
Also a lot of my parents' friends who are sort of more Charleston culture centric, they still like what I do as an artist. A lot of them have a little bit of a creative spirit in what they do. They there is a lot of creativity there. It's a very whether it comes to antiques or architecture or landscaping, there's a lot of aesthetic appreciation there, and it's not all for what the kind of stuff I do, but they can kind of say, okay, we would never live in LA where it's coke fueled orgies all day and Antifa and drive-by shootings. But hey, if that floats your boat, like we're happy for you. We're happy.
They're saying I personally didn't vote for Obama, but I did like your artwork, Shepard.
Yeah, seriously. There's plenty of that. And
that's an archetype. That's a Southern archetype where it's like, oh, I mean, you do whatever you want to do, sweetheart, but like that ain't my thing.
And my parents have become more politically outspoken because of Trump. I mean, they've always been Democrats, but I think that finally this whole idea of sort of the the genteel assimilation to whichever way the wind is blowing in the South. My parents have decided, okay, we can't do that anymore. And there was a No Kings march there. My mom was out there. It is definitely part of Charleston culture to sort of just politely disagree and do things that might oppress others when you vote. And
Well put.
No, it's fine. It's fine.
As long as the others live far away enough, then it's not a problem.
yeah, it's all good. Just keep out of my zip code, and I'm happy.
Well, I guess speaking of the Obama things, I was listening to you on Moby's podcast, and you mentioned that your daughter was born the same year that you did that, which would make her 18 now?
17. Yeah, she'll be 18 in January.
I cannot believe it's been that many years since we were trying to get Obama in office. I feel old. I can only imagine how old you must feel then.
I think I am older than you, so I do feel older. But
Yes.
All right. Well, let's not get into facts here, Shepard. It's a feeling. It's a feeling.
yeah, well,
you know what I'm
we're
saying?
talking
It's a
about
feeling.
politics. We shouldn't be dealing with facts,
Yeah,
right?
we don't deal with facts. That's not the point. No. We're just having fun here.
Precisely. Well, and since enough time has passed, it'll be a 20-year anniversary in a couple years. Have you felt inspired to create your next version of that, to do, to make a strong political message for good?
I'm trying to do that all the time, not necessarily in that way. I did make a poster for Kamala Harris, who I admire, but I don't think she has the same communication skills as Obama, and she also didn't have.
No, she does not.
She did not have the same runway as Obama. Also,
True.
Obama is pretty special in terms of his oratory ability.
Yep.
Where he made, I listened to him on Mark Maron. He shut his little ass down. It's hard to get Maron to shut up. that takes an Obama level orator.
Obama had more runway, but he could have done it with Kamala's runway. He was that good. He just came out of nowhere, and we said, "Who the fuck is this guy?"
The real challenge, I think, is promote the kind of culture that means that people like Obama can rise to the top. But the whole cult of celebrity and personality is not necessarily something that I want to do moment to moment, because I think that's not making the ground fertile for the right people. It's just sort of moving from person to person, where you use all the tactics that are used against progressive people from the other side. I don't want to be fighting fire with fire in that way. I do enjoy that Gavin Newsom has used a lot of Trump's tactics in combating Trump, because all of a sudden when the tables are turned, we'll see who the snowflakes are on this one. Sorry, that MAGA's melting under the heat of what Gavin Newsom's doing, but that's not what I want to do. Sometimes I look at what will be effective in grabbing attention and maybe going viral versus what creates the world I want to live in a sustained way. They're different. Sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes.
I think they're different most of the time, probably just based on how the world moves. You know what I mean?
Well, unfortunately, I think a good example of that is you creating art to share this political message and spread the word for decades of your life, and then within the last year, you and everyone else has to record themselves talking into their phone for TikTok to get that message across. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I don't do TikTok, but I do all the other platforms for the most part. And
right.
Yeah, there's a book I read recently. I know this is definitely not where you guys want to go with this podcast, but I'm going to do it anyway. Sorry.
We don't know. No wrong turns, brother.
A book called Nexus by Yuval Noah Harari that's looking at how social media algorithms and AI are really leading us in these directions away from each other. Polarization, not unity, echo chambers, but also how AI can track your patterns to such a degree that you aren't even necessarily conscious of, that its ability to manipulate you psychologically is going to become very dangerous for politics.
Hold on, Shepard. You're saying that screen I've been talking to is not a hot chick who wants to have sex with me? You're telling me That's a computer?
Yeah.
God damn it.
Allegedly.
Yeah, I think it's even deeper than that. It's, noticing that you respond to certain things and that that you're angry about certain things, and then feeding you that in a way where you're only focusing on something, much in the way that with Brexit, there was research done by Cambridge Analytica that people didn't like the idea of money going out of the country that could be spent in the UK. So they focused all on that without mentioning that the return on that investment was much greater than the expenditure. And so people were like, oh yeah, forget that. We're, UK, we won't take that from the rest of Europe, all those horrible people that we're so similar to.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's not, no one loves the Parisians, but go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, I do. I will take issue with you on that. Here's what you have to do. You just have to meet some influencers like Daft Punk or whoever and get them to vouch for you, and then everyone from Paris likes you. I've done it. I know, Jason, I know you know this too as a DJ.
No. I got in early with the Ed Banger crew, and
Pedro Winter, that's your boy.
Pedro.
I know that.
I've
seen you DJ
right.
with him.
You can hang out with Daft Punk as well. I'm not on that level just quite yet. They don't love me as much as they might love you.
But anyway, my point is that I think that the way that I want to reach people is everywhere possible, but I don't like the idea that the medium itself is compromising the nature of the communication, and I'm working against that in how I use Instagram, how I use any of it.
Does that make it less successful, like as far as like the reach goes, or do you think it's like,
oh yeah,
what you okay?
I'm always trying to be reasonable, and like, reasonable doesn't mean I don't say what I truly believe. I don't share my convictions, but I'm not just trying to stoke outrage. And that's terrible for engagement, bro.
It's going to be hard for me to hate watch your shit if you're just a regular, reasonable guy.
Yeah, exactly. Because I'm tired of seeing that. And so when I do a post about something that I genuinely believe, like human rights in Gaza matter, I'll get a lot of people that are like, yeah, and a lot of people that are like, you're an anti-Semite. And so that gets a lot of engagement. But I'm not going to court controversy on a regular basis just to try to get numbers on my social media. It's disgusting. People that do that disgust me.
You're better than me. All I do is stoke them on this podcast. That's all we can do. You don't even want to know the shit I say to get people to listen to this garbage. You have no idea.
I mean, no, I feel the same way, and we talk about it, and you could see other podcasters or TV hosts or whatever over, the evolution over the last few years, and how you're able to find, financial success, followership, and, overall success in general if you pick one side and go full
in. If you pick one side, Jason, if I went...
If you pick the right side, but,
If I became either a youth pastor or a fucking right-wing podcaster, I'd have a lot more money. Mm-hmm. And instead, I'm slumming it with you fucking bozos, going the wrong way.
I mean, this is a good segue to Donald Trump's strategy. He was a Democrat when it suited his interests to be a Democrat. He was pro-choice, gave money to Hillary Clinton's campaign because he was in New York. But then when he decided he's going to run, because of his racism that he just couldn't shake, even though it wasn't classy in New York.
Just can't get this. The stain will not come out of the shirt. I don't know.
It's not, as a racist Democrat, it's not an easy existence.
Yeah,
you have to. It's tough.
But when he, his whole birther conspiracy about Obama, when he decides to run, he just goes, who are the people easiest to manipulate? How can I aggregate power most quickly and efficiently? And of course, it was scapegoating. It's the that loves scapegoating, that feels like somebody's taking something from them. The American dream of being rich and having trophy wives and cheating with a porn star, all of which Donald Trump embodies.
Hey.
Where are they going to find that?
I find that
Donald
I got
Trump's
people
like,
in my
here
life.
Here you go.
Yeah. No, but I mean, I think that there's a pretty there's a history of a lot of people doing that over time. You know what I mean? Where it's like you look at the records are public. You know what I mean? We can tell what you were doing, whatever, 10 years ago. And if you decide to change that, it's almost like if you go hard enough, no one cares. Like no one even chooses to look at that or remember it if you go so far in the other direction.
Well, I think what it is that there's always going to be an audience because we're a polarized nation. And some people think that the more extreme you go, the more conviction you have. If you're uncompromising, then like you're principled. No, it's just that's where the juice is because our society and our culture hasn't created a lower ceiling for that bullshit.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're here to win. We're not here to do actual good things in the world.
And the spewing whatever you're spewing, and it does not necessarily mean that you're going to be able to solve problems. And that's played out in real time for lots of people. But we're susceptible to the grift as a nation. I don't know how to get past that, really. You guys are smart. You guys aren't susceptible to the grift.
Oh, I Shepard, I think it's going to only get worse.
I use drugs to block it out. But I mean, the older you get, it's like I remember being a kid, and you would every 4 years it would be like the current president. All he does is play golf all day. Not me. I'm not going to do that when I'm in office. They get voted in office. They play golf all day. Every 4 years, a new president plays golf more than the last president. And it's, and nothing changes, nothing gets done. So it's easy to get kind of disaffected and just remove yourself from it completely. I admire how strong-willed you are and how political you still are. I feel like you could be somebody running for office. You could be.
Oh, here we go. Echo Park School Board right here. You got to start somewhere.
Well, I was thinking you brought up Gavin Newsom, and like it takes a world so shitty for us to start being like, damn, Gavin Newsom's kind of tight. You know what I mean? Like that's how rough things have gotten.
From day one, Gavin Newsom, the one thing he has going for him is that he looks presidential. He looks like he could have played the president on TV, and that's for half the people. That's all they need.
Yeah, I think, and that's been seen as a liability because the right is like, oh, he's slick, he's handsome, he's not, and meanwhile when Sarah Palin was vice president, running for vice president, they were like, she'll do a great job because she's kind of pretty.
Yeah, I heard somebody talking today. I don't know what I was listening to, but they were talking about like the OG sort of like AI porn stuff, and a lot of people remember it being Sarah Palin. Like they would put Sarah Palin's head on another body, and that
the
was
original baddie.
The original baddie
like
was Sarah
of all
Palin.
The women in the world who have ever been alive, who could we put? Oh yeah, Sarah.
We're gonna go with Sarah Palin. I totally forgotten about Sarah Palin. I feel like we forget about and how insane that was when she was on TV and when SNL was making fun of her every week. That was a simpler time.
Yeah, it was because she seems somewhat civilized compared to, say, Marjorie Taylor Greene or any.
Very. Are you kidding me? Very civilized.
Yeah, I mean, she didn't.
Let's go to dinner.
She didn't say anything about Jewish space lasers. Like this. Marjorie Taylor Greene has actually said that, and then also joined the whole. The Free Palestine movement is a problem on campus because these campuses are permitting anti-Semitism. I mean, the Orwellian doublethink, doublespeak is so pervasive now. And they're like, Orwellian, what's that? Marjorie Taylor Greene did a tweet or an X post, whatever, that said, if you get Kamala Harris as president or Joe Biden right now, I don't remember which one it was, but it'll be martial law, but she spelled it like Marshall's, the department store.
I'm declaring a full Maxinista on this country.
Yeah.
Hey, look, man, spelling errors happened. She was hurrying. It was on her phone.
Do you remember that Dan Quayle misspelled potato, and then it was like his political career is over. It's over.
Never heard from Quayle again. Quayle went quiet.
Yeah, we forget of how spelling can be a real minefield sometimes for our uneducated.
That's actually really funny. Yeah, I forgot about quail. Thank you for reminding me.
There's a bunch of people out there that are DUM.
Yeah. No, there's a lot of DUM asses out there. No, that's true.
So yes,
that's true.
all that is to say, you are running for office then?
I don't have the constitution for that, and we aren't going to have a constitution at all.
Okay, this guy. But all right.
What about? I mean, you are a pun king, so maybe a movement into the male podcaster political space. I feel like you're a great chitter chatter about all this stuff. Like you brought up Marjorie Taylor Greene. She's recently flip flopping to be a little anti-MAGA lately. Do you believe she's doing this in earnest, or do you think it's a little smoke and mirrors?
I think that she's so ignorant that she didn't understand that attacking healthcare might affect her own family. And then when it did, the threat of that emerged, she went, oh, wait.
I think you could be onto something here. I think maybe her understanding of the outcome was, maybe not.
So that would mean that these people who we could consider to be, monsters in so many ways might actually have a heart and a conscience deep down in there that could be turned.
Here's my take on things, which isn't particularly fun, but I think that what's going on with Trump right now and, the sort of authoritarian manipulation, getting his tentacles into every branch of government, putting loyalists in positions of power, even in places that should be bipartisan or nonpartisan. I think that the consequences for the country are going to be so severe that people who are normally just assuming they will be safe and comfortable will be stung. And it's going to create more suffering for people who are already struggling or marginalized. But what is the thing that that people who are in power fear the most? It is a solidarity from people who normally they can pit against each other. So I think it will eventually backfire in that a lot of people who are suffering economically, even if they've been told like, oh, it's because of immigrants or it's because of non-white people or whatever, they might realize, oh, you know what? We're all dealing with the problems of Trump trying to create a Putin-style fascist government that relies on his cronyism with oligarchs and everybody else is screwed.
Well, look, I want to be clear. All my problems are caused by white people. I want to be very clear and on the record. Any problem in my life is caused by white people.
Okay, well, do you? It seems like maybe those powers that be that you're speaking of are already aware of this as well. And do you think that when the time for this revolution comes, we're going to be too busy jacking off to our AI Sarah Palin, links and having our food tubes delivered to us, and we're just going to be so, just numbed out and apolitical, and we're just going to roll over and take it? What do you think is going to happen? What'll need to happen to have a true revolution?
I wish I knew. I really do.
You're like, have you considered wheat pasting?
I got a few ideas. Just stick with me.
I've got a lot of stickers.
Yeah,
that's a big question. I think that we're too far gone. I think we've gotten to an every man for himself or their selves position, and that's sort of it's only going to get more extreme as we go on, because it doesn't feel like anything is stable enough to believe in or like put your weight behind or sort of align yourself with. It's better to be like, I care about me and the three people in this fucking house, and that's all I can concern myself
I have
with.
been pandering to the wealthy lately, now that I think about it.
Yeah, I would never do that. You know that.
Yeah, it's hard to say.
No, not you.
I know that there are a lot of people who care about the principles I care about, but the way in which the mechanisms to, achieve that in terms of governance and policy is those are all disintegrating. So how do we bounce back? And that's one of the things that I think dystopian novels like Fahrenheit 451 or 1984 or Brave New World, they were meant to caution people against letting things get to that place.
Yeah. I was like, oh shit, this shit came true. That's crazy. It's like, no, that's not the point.
Okay, so maybe you're saying what we need is somebody really cool needs to take an Orwell novel and turn it into like a dope ass Netflix documentary or like a really cool podcast, and then we will be like, oh shit.
You know what's funny? I mean, I watch TV and movies pretty regularly. I was just on a long flight back from Berlin, so I watched the most recent Mission Impossible. Not necessarily the sweet spot of my taste generally, but I know it'd be like fun and totally ridiculous, but
a fine plane movie.
Yeah,
except for the part where planes crash. But yeah, go ahead.
in this newest Tom Cruise Mission Impossible, the villain is a thing called the Entity, which is a weaponized AI. And having read Nexus by Harari, I was like, wow, whoever wrote the script for this film is looking at the way things could get more extreme. And in the film, the AI is stoking distrust from nation to nation, group to group, and showing how that makes us vulnerable to a potential nuclear war because we're in such fear of other people that we'd have to strike first. And I think it was a really good metaphor for what's happening. And then there's this whole Ving Rhames has a whole sort of coda speech in the film about how we need to see that we have more in common and build the ability to collaborate, et cetera, et cetera. And I was like, damn, everything that I am worried about and believe politically just actually got done by this movie.
That is fucked up. And I want to just be clear. That's the first time Ving Rhames has been mentioned on this podcast in our history. I want to give you props for that. So you're saying we need to basically elect in some way Tom Cruise's character to sort of take over?
Definitely not. But
okay.
Well, I think on the dark sides of that, like films where we have like an enemy that could have a face or a country, from our childhood into now, it went from, the Russians and the Chinese and the Middle Easterns, and then it starts getting a little bit more vague as political correctness grows, and then it's just kind of like vague people that are bad. Whereas, like where you watch Back to the Future and it's like the Lebanon guys are coming on the Volkswagen bus, and those are our enemy.
The Libyans.
Close. The Libyans.
The Libyans. Yeah.
The Libyans are coming. The Russians are coming. Blah blah blah. And now it works perfectly with our political correctness of like it's the Entity.
Yeah.
It's just a blank enemy.
Yeah, we don't.
And when you have that, you feel as if you'll never defeat it. You know what I mean? It doesn't feel like something that you can like, all right, movie's over. We killed the Entity. Everything is going to be okay now. Like you finish the movie and you're still like, oh, we're.
Yeah. The Entity wants Trump to get elected. It has nothing to do with Russia, the Entity, but it wants we don't know where it's from. It could be a 300-pound guy on in his basement bedroom. Remember, that's what Trump said about the Russia election interference.
I still don't know. I don't want to be, I don't want to.
No, I think
I don't want
to. Could just be a guy.
I think that anything creative that gets people to consider that we're social creatures, we need to work together to maintain the things that we all benefit from. Libertarians, I've always been disgusted by libertarians because they're really selective libertarians. They don't pave their own roads. They don't take their own garbage to the dump. They don't remove their own sewage. Most of them don't homeschool their kids, but they don't want to pay taxes. They take for granted everything that a functional society provides and the governance that goes on within a functional society. And they go, yeah, let me cherry pick the things that work best for me, not pay taxes when I want to, blah, blah, blah. And realizing that we all are benefiting from these, the distribution of responsibilities and labor within our society, and how, we get to have our thing we do well. And then we don't have to do all the other things well because there's somebody else out there doing that provides a service for us. Like, just don't be a selfish dick. That's basically like, we need creative things that tell those stories. And, all the best music, all the best film, all the best art, to me, has some idiosyncratic take that is unique to that creator, yet has a way to find an audience that sees a connection to it. That's there's something universal, and there's also something unique to it. So I want people to experience more of that, because I think the current way of relating to the world is making a lot of people very unhappy and hostile, and no one benefits from that.
I'm miserable. I totally.
Yeah.
I agree with you. I mean, I agree.
Yeah,
with you
and when your ratings slip from having me as a guest, you'll be more miserable. So sorry about that.
Oh, it's okay. We've done way worse. Don't worry. This will be fine. This will be fine.
No, we're off to a good start. This is good, Shepard.
No, I think that making something that is both sort of like appeals to, I don't know what the right term is, maybe underground or like a niche audience, but also then finds that sort of universal appeal eventually, is the hardest thing to possibly accomplish with whatever the art form is.
I agree. So like when I say hopefully finding something universal, I don't mean pandering to the lowest common denominator. Not at all. I think kind of asking the audience to lean in, and then it, that can build a critical mass where something's talked about, and then it becomes like a reference point. Or
what is a good example of this musically for you? Like The Clash or something? Like what is something that felt but then really had the universal appeal?
Yeah, The Clash, Public Enemy, Rage Against the Machine. I mean, Le Tigre.
Cool.
Wow. Okay. Damn, Le Tigre is lucky to be thrown in with that mix. I gotta say.
Le Tigre is quite popular, and I love Bikini Kill, but Le Tigre is far more infectious. It's sort of like the way that Devo saw for their challenging ideas that really catchy music would be a better delivery vehicle. It's like the Trojan horse. The Yeah Yeah Yeahs new album is talking about climate change in a couple of the songs, and yet it's not done in a way that's going to divide people. It's sort of more poetic and symbolic. But I appreciate when anybody is trying to find a way to nudge people in a direction that allows them to absorb it, process it, and then embrace it without feeling like they're just being scolded.
I feel like Tool was always good at doing that as well. I know that, Chris, you're not a big fan of Tool, but I think exposing some of those messages and ideas to, a Ozfest crowd is a good demographic to focus on.
The Ozfest crowd needs more help than most. I think that's the
sure.
The Le Tigres and the Yeah Yeah Yeahs, it could be a little preaching to the choir, but
I mean,
you know what I mean?
But come on, Black Sabbath. I mean, not that the people, or even Metallica, you've got a song like Disposable Heroes by Metallica, or with Black Sabbath, War Pigs or Children of the Grave. There's so many songs in Black Sabbath that are not just about how Satan is scary. There's a lot of stuff that's about in War Pigs. It's talking about sending off the poor to do the fighting. They're being treated like pawns. It's actually pretty smart stuff, but it doesn't mean everybody absorbs it. In fact, maybe with that crowd, a small percentage absorb it, but at least an effort's being made.
Yeah, I respect that.
I think I see it with country music nowadays a little bit, because I mean, like War Pigs and a lot of those songs, Vietnam War, 60s, 70s, there was a lot of great music that was a reaction to that, and we don't really have a ton of that today in the mainstream. We obviously have a lot of politically, charged music nowadays, but
I don't see you that, and I can tell that you've never read the Jelly Roll lyrics, Jason, and that's something we're gonna fix if I have anything to say about it. We need to get you in there.
If Jelly Roll wrote a song about how it sucks that we're sending all of our young men to war to die for these corporations, that would enact some true change versus kneecap saying Free Palestine. No offense.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean that shit that Zach Bryan shit that happened a couple weeks ago is crazy. Like the room, he wrote this song. He basically says ICE sucks. Everybody that I heard talk about it for the first couple of days just assumed it was him supporting ICE because of who he is.
Yeah, saying like ICE is going to come and get you And they were like, hell
they're
yeah.
like,
and,
yeah,
then,
finally.
and then they read the rest of the lyrics and they're like, oh.
Wait a second. He was
that's
actually
bad.
But like a guy like that is in a very interesting position where he's successfully become like, you know, arguably the biggest artist in the world, walking this line of being sort of like a veteran and like a good old boy, but never crossing the line either way. Like I think the reason the ICE thing got so much attention is because he'd never really made a statement either way for whatever 4 or 5 years since he became so popular.
Yeah.
But I found that to be I love people jumping to conclusions and then being like, oh shit, well, all right, never mind.
Yeah, the number of comments about I've done some things with Tom Morello and Rage Against the Machine over the years.
Yeah.
And the number of comments about them raging, quote unquote, with the machine because they said, you know, get out and vote. And
You're like, all right, look, you might have got me on a technicality, but let's talk this through. Let's talk it through.
I thought I was supposed to throw a Molotov cocktail at the voting booth, but you want me to go in there and wait in line? Oh, hell no.
That's really funny. That's really, really funny.
But, you know, I there's always going to be that issue. And there's plenty of art and music that isn't political that I like. You know, there's a lot of fun stuff. I think that, you know, one of the things that I've found in the people that endure as activists, because it can feel like such a daunting thing to contend with the world's problems day in and day out, is maintaining joy in your life. And Nadia from Pussy Riot is a friend, and she's somebody that definitely, you know, sort of toggles between having a good time, and you can see that in the music and the videos that she does. But she likes to have fun, and also she thinks that getting under the skin of people with too much power is fun. The mischief is fun. I find that fun too. Mm-hmm. A lot of people have been saying to me like, oh, are you going to tone down what you say? Because look what happened to Jimmy Kimmel. Look what happened to Stephen Colbert. I'm like, well, I don't have a show where I work for a network. So
like, I can't fire myself. So I think we're good. I think we're good.
It's not going to happen to me.
I could, but I choose not to.
But you know,
So you're saying Greta Thunberg could have a little more joy in her life?
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, Greta could.
No, I see what you're saying. It's like it doesn't have to be. It doesn't being engaged and that being your cause doesn't mean you have to have like a miserable, joyless life. Like you can do both.
Exactly, and in fact, it's probably the only way to find the correct rhythm and balance to maintain that kind of effort, because otherwise it's a really heavy, depressing thing.
Yeah, I mean, like I feel like if AOC was a little more she could be a president if she was a little more fun and joyous and didn't have like a narky energy to her. You know what I mean? Easier said than done, of course. Obviously, you have to consciously make an effort to. I'm having fun now. You know, like it's something that should come natural.
Jason, you know as well as I do that shaking a narky personality, that's almost impossible. That's something that is almost impossible to shake. If you're
I'm the
born
man
that
for
way.
the job. Well, speaking of cutting loose, having fun a little bit, you just DJ'd your photo show arch retrospective in Berlin. Were you playing anything new? Any new music?
Probably the only new thing, Wet Leg and Yard Act. But I like those two bands a lot. Mm-hmm. On the hip hop side, I like Joey Valance and Bray, but do you know them? They're kind of Beastie Boys-esque, but they're new, and I think they actually rhyme. They don't just come up with sort of a chant and then have some like lazy beats under it. They actually rhyme.
They're saying words.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know me, Jason. We've DJed together a lot. You know that I love the artistry of classic hip hop from, Public Enemy, Eric B. and Rakim, Boogie Down Productions, Run DMC, Public Enemy, Tribe Called Quest, De La Soul. Even NWA, they seem like Rhodes Scholars now compared to some of the stuff.
It's true.
I mean, look, to be fair, NWA is a Rhodes Scholar compared to Playboy Cardi. I agree with you. I agree with you.
Yeah.
Because I don't listen to that music at all. It was never my thing. I respect it, of course, because it's like foundational. But I guess did you get into that through punk and skateboarding, or was that first?
Punk and skateboarding were first for me. I mean, 40 years ago plus. But I got into the Beastie Boys because it was quite infectious. And then I had already liked Run DMC when I was 14, but thought if I got into punk that like I had to abandon anything other than punk. And so I went back to Run DMC.
Well, back then you kind of did.
Yeah.
And then when Thrasher had a review of the first Public Enemy record, Yo Bum Rush the Show, they described it as "this is the new punk," which for me was like, okay, now it's safe to embrace hip hop because it's been ordained as the new punk by Thrasher. And so,
speaking of Rhodes Scholars, the good people at Thrasher,
yeah, exactly,
like Moses from on high.
Yeah,
so it's so will be.
That was my Bible at the time.
Of course.
And so for me, all that hip hop it had a lot of the same spirit as punk. It was very underdog, DIY. Punk was about not having to be a virtuoso musician. A lot of hip hop people didn't have any formal musical training, but they had a good ear. And so the way that with this remix culture in the late 80s and the 90s that was emerging, the way it sat perfectly in there, sampling really creatively, building a collage and then rapping over it, it suited my sensibility 100%. And a lot of it was also social and political commentary, especially Public Enemy, but a lot of the other groups too. And then when it got to be more successful and this whole like, oh, I deserve to be making a lot of money became I am making a lot of money, it got less interesting to me.
I mean, that happens to a lot of people in a lot of industries. You know what I mean? That is a common.
I've never heard it put so well, though. I like that. Going from I should be making a lot of money to I am making a lot of money. Really, I don't want to listen to that song anymore.
Did bands play in Charleston in your in high school and stuff, or were you having to drive to other cities in the South?
I saw the Circle Jerks at a high school gymnasium in '86 in Charleston.
Shit.
And that was great. But otherwise, like I went from Charleston to New York to stay with my friend and his aunt in the summer of '86 to see the Smiths on the Queen is Dead tour, and then GBH, the Cro-Mags, and 7 Seconds at the Ritz, which is now Webster Hall.
Bro, hold on, bro. We're not gonna just breeze over the Queen is Dead tour. I mean, that's when Morrissey had abs, for Christ's sake. That's that long ago.
Yeah. That was pretty amazing. I was a Smiths fan, but I'm probably more of a Smiths fan now than I was back then, even though I find Morrissey really tedious in a lot of ways.
I had a feeling you wouldn't be sort of with him.
I think finding him tedious is a beautiful way to put it.
But yeah, I mean, I was really, really hungry for seeing music. And then when I went to the Rhode Island School of Design in '88, Providence is right between New York and Boston, so I could see tons of great stuff. You know, I saw Boogie Down Productions and Brand Nubian like on the Browns campus and the RISD campus. I saw Firehose and Fugazi in the RISD dining hall. You know, I saw the Ramones with Jane's Addiction opening. I saw Primus. I saw so much good stuff.
Wow.
Because I was right there. But yeah, I saw Ice-T. Public Enemy canceled because Flavor Flav went on a bender and couldn't be found. But I've seen Public Enemy a lot since then.
It's really cool. It's really cool when I remember that Flavor Flav was in Public Enemy. Like I'm totally like detached him from that completely. And then when you say that, I'm like, oh yeah, he was like the other guy. I mean, he was a major part of Public Enemy. He wasn't like just the hype man. Like he was a big
the
part
star.
Of it.
Yeah, I mean, for me,
he's the Morrissey of Public Enemy, I should say. Sorry.
Yeah.
yeah. Chuck D's the Johnny Marr.
Chuck D is the Marr.
Yeah, that's good. That's true.
That's funny. Yeah, I mean, Chuck D worked on the production with the Bomb Squad, and he wrote the lyrics. I mean, it's really like Chuck D's entire project, his conception for everything.
But you guys are you guys buddies? Are you guys buddies now? You've done some stuff with them, I'm sure.
Yeah. I actually just talked to him yesterday.
Oh, that's funny. That's really funny.
I wanted to talk about the art show in London that you just had. We were talking about in the intro with Damien, Hirst, and Space Invader, and you earlier in the pod you mentioned Orwellian. What's that? As like not really knowing what the references are and what the original things are, and now it had me thinking of like Space Invader, and now I'll go on my phone and I'll see people just basically doing that themselves just because it looks fun to make a little tile of a creature and throw it against a building until it sticks or whatever. And I feel like we're on the verge of, there's millions of people who don't even know that he's stealing that from somebody who stole it from somebody. What do you think about all the lost scrolls of information as the art world continues on?
I think it's okay for things to just have an influence that it takes on its own life. It's great if somebody takes the time to understand the history where things came from. I have a natural, just inquisitive nature to look at like, I like that sound in that song. That's a hip hop song. Let me research the sample. Or if the Sex Pistols talk about how they listened to the Stooges, then I'm going to go back and listen to the Stooges and see what that's about. But for other people who maybe they just don't have that mindset, I'm okay with that. But Space Invader should get a lot of credit for developing an approach to street art that is really visually effective and usually doesn't get cleaned because a mosaic looks ornamental, decorative, and
too cute to buff.
Yeah, it's smart and it's subversive in the way it works. And he's also a maniac. He's such a hard worker. He's got thousands of those things across the globe and something like 1,800 of them in Paris alone.
Jesus.
So, I guess when I look at the power of art, thinking that something is inspiring enough to move beyond the crowd that wants a little bit of credit for knowing everything about it. That's the side of the art world that I really don't like. This insular elitist side of the art world. There are people that have referenced either the graphic approach to the Obama or the Obey with the red bar underneath, which I actually stole from Barbara Kruger, her red bar with white type, and Supreme stole it from Barbara Kruger also. But I see those things out there, and I say to myself, even if that person has no idea who I am, the fact that this graphic approach to communication has impacted them to do their mutation of it, it shows that
it worked.
That it worked, that something I'm doing is effective. And it also makes me think, okay, well, for the next thing to be meaningful, maybe it can't look the same because somebody might just assume that I'm one of the millions of people who, have like looked at that and are riffing off of that without knowing. It's become wallpaper to a degree. So maybe I have to do my next evolution that has some connection to that, but feels like it's taking it to a fresh place. So I enjoy all of that. It's like a constant dialogue with the public that keeps me energized.
I think that's a good attitude to have about it. And I think that is like that I sort of agree. I think that's when something has worked, when it's crossed over to the point where people have no idea where it came from. They just like it because they like it.
Yeah. I mean, all this stuff, it sort of gets down to, are you delusional about your contribution and about how creativity works? Or are you honest? Because people keep saying to me like, AI is taking things that other people made and it's remixing it. I'm like, yeah, that sounds like the entire premise of classic hip hop right there, right? That's also what humans do in general. We are receptors of information that then we process that information and spit something out based on all those experiences, based on the things we've been inspired by. That's what AI does too. Don't get mad at the AI because you're just the human version of the same thing.
Yeah, sure. We did it first. I wanted to ask you about your art collection. What do you gravitate towards over the years? Is there something that you've really gotten a lot of that you're happy with?
Yeah, I mean, there's tons of people who I admire. A lot of them come from the street art zone, but definitely not all of them. I have a few pieces by Jamie Reed, who did all the art for the Sex Pistols. I have a few pieces by Winston Smith, who did all the art for the Dead Kennedys. Stuff from punk culture that really helped shape me. I've tried to collect. I have the 2 original drawings for Suicidal Tendencies by Lance Mountain, the skateboarder from the Bones Brigade.
Yeah, of course.
But then I've collected some Banksy stuff, a lot of Twist, Barry McGee, Thomas Campbell, Phil Frost, Swoon. She's a good friend.
Yeah, I think of a lot of these people as sort of your generation in some ways, which is cool.
Yeah. There's a guy from Portugal named Vils whose work I really like a lot. There's stuff that I respond to purely aesthetically. Oh, I have some Raymond Pettibone stuff. He did all the art for Black Flag. But then a lot of times it's almost impossible to divorce how I feel about the aesthetics from how I feel about how I first engaged with those aesthetics. Like what was the cultural path to it? So I don't try to untangle that. If it makes me feel a certain way and it was important to who I am, then cool.
You want it? Yeah, sure.
You mentioned Banksy. The recent heist over at the Louvre with the jewelry that reeks of Banksy. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, only if he'd put like a poop emoji back in their place.
Yeah, if you'd had a little fun with it.
There's a free idea, Banksy.
Yeah, that's nice.
When's the last time you got arrested? Are you clean?
Yeah, I'm clean for now. The last time I got arrested was a while ago now. I think it was 2015.
Oh yeah, okay. That's longer than
You're
I
10
would
years
have
clean.
assumed, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, I have 18 arrests under my belt, but that's enough. I mean, I don't
18's good for you?
Yeah.
We can stop
Okay,
right
well,
here.
out of those 18 arrests, I'm sure they've happened various cities all over the world. What is the number one jail you've been in? Treated you the best, nicest accommodations, etc.
They were surprisingly nice in Chicago.
Okay.
Midwest, classic Midwestern charm.
Yeah, they
Can I get you something to eat
Gave
there?
you a pillow and shit. It was all good.
They let me come out. They were watching TV and they saw me sort of leaning against the bars. They were watching the movie Shaft. And so I like that movie, so I was leaning out, and they were like, "Oh, you want to come out here and watch it?" Like they just opened up the holding cell and let me go out and like hang out and watch the movie.
They're like, you don't appear to be a physical danger to us at all. Would you like to come and watch the rest of Shaft with us? You're not going to stab me in the neck with a pen.
Yeah. You artist pussy. Get in here and watch the movie with us.
Yeah, I know, right? Poor guy. He's in his early 30s, still doing this.
What's wrong with you? Get a job.
The slim-wristed stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. How many? Yeah. Once you're getting, or like, let's say you got arrested 10 years ago, 2015. You were a full-grown adult man. At a certain point, you're older than the police that are arresting you for graffiti.
Yeah, that has happened.
And then instead of that, the cop saying, "Hey, what are you doing with your life?" You're telling them, "What are you doing with your life, kid? Come on," you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You can pull up the checkbook. How much is it going to cost for this to go away, Chief? What's going on?
It's I mean, the way it's gone down in different places. When I got arrested in Boston in 2009, I had literally been doing a photo op with the mayor 2 days before or something, because they installed a giant banner of my art on the side of City Hall. It's a brutalist building, which that's an actual architectural term. It's very austere, just plain concrete. So they're all very embarrassed that brutalism was the trend when they made that. So they always want to put something that like, lightens the place up a little bit. So I did that.
The Bostonian brutalist movement, they're not proud of it.
Yeah. And so so then, a couple of days later, I get arrested by undercovers from the Vandal squad. And, a lot of times different branches of government aren't talking to each other. And this created a whole thing of like conspiracy theories where, are the cops trying to embarrass the mayor because he didn't give them a big enough raise when they were lobbying for it? And, I sometimes am amused by how this stuff plays out in terms of, the theories from the public.
So you were a pawn in their dark political game, is what it sounds like. Not to quote Black Sabbath and Metallica.
But potentially, yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I did my 8 hours and I was kind of out of there. But you guys figured this out.
Yeah.
I hope you guys can work it out.
But anyway, and another thing is the guy who was prosecuting me, the prosecutor from the government side, he didn't make enough money as a prosecutor to do that only as his job. And there was a bar where the owner had installed a bunch of my art, and I went there for lunch with the curator for my museum show, and Adam, the prosecutor, was working the bar there.
God.
And came up and had a chat with me. Hell no. Really nice guy. Seriously. But you know, it was his job, but you could see how kind of half-hearted his approach to I eventually was able to, you know, get out of a situation in Boston where they were charging me with 32 felonies, which could have been a cumulative 82 years in jail for allegedly putting posters and stickers up.
Shepard said, "I'm exonerated on all charges." All right, so what do we think? We're gonna have to go, but give us an estimation on legal fees throughout the years. What do you think? What do you think the tickets hit?
Oh man!
And if Amanda's listening, turn the podcast off now.
Unfortunately, we're talking about well over $1 million.
That's what I was assuming. I mean, and look, we're happy you're free, bro. It's look, if you got it, and you got to spend it. That's what some of that money should be used for. It goes back into the business.
But of course, going through all these situations always made me think about the people that don't have the kind of resources that I can now throw at a situation like that, and how it's going to screw them that they can't defend themselves properly. And, you know, I've done a lot of criminal justice reform stuff because I understand that it's
like
not
how crazy it is.
Yeah, it's not fair for everybody.
We got to get these graffiti artists to stop selling heroin and like really get on the straight and narrow. I couldn't agree more. That's what we got to fight for.
Well, you know, a lot of people from graffiti had a code of you never pay for anything or else you're not keeping it real. Like you shoplift everything.
You gotta rack everything.
Yeah. I always paid for almost everything. I figured out a few scams with Kinko's to get free copies with a paper clip by rigging the machine and stuff like that. But it's minor. But I did not want, if I was caught for something, for it also to appear on my record that I did things like shoplifting, because I wanted to be able to stand 100% behind my crimes and say like, hey, I'm a taxpayer. I think there should be room for expression. This shouldn't just be purely top down. If you're a big corporation, you can pay for a billboard and subject everybody to that. But if you're just a citizen that has a cute, fun idea that you want to put on a poster on a corner, then you're gonna go to jail.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's been my approach.
All right, Shepard.
Yeah. Tougher to pull that off if you've got caught stealing catalytic converters for a couple years. You know what I mean?
Look, officer, I have the receipt for all of my Rust-Oleum right here, actually, if you want to see it. No, thank you for joining us, Shepard. It was a pleasure.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Chris. Thanks, Jake.
Congrats on all the new shows, and we'll see you soon.
All right. Take care.
All right, bro. Have a good one. All right. Later.
Thanks, Shep. Good seeing you, buddy.
Yeah, good to see you too. Peace.